Hey guys, my name is Etronug91 and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be playing some Dyson Sphere Program. And for those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. For those of you that have watched a few of my videos, as scattered as they have been in the past, I want to try and solve that. But my major concern right now is going to be kind of working on this playthrough of the Dyson Sphere Program, with some settings changed and some ease of interest and making it go hopefully a little bit quicker. This looks like a good map. Okay, so without further ado, what is Dyson Sphere Program? Essentially, it is centered around building a Dyson Sphere. For those of you that don't know the terminology of Dyson Sphere, it is essentially a massive solar array that goes all the way around a sun, and it collects massive amounts of power. And it's basically like, depending on how you would conclude scale, a Dyson Sphere would go just around a sun. Can't think of the name of the structure. There is a structure larger than a Dyson Sphere that goes around an entire solar system, but, well, that's just getting into some insane territory. So, what are we doing? Well, we're playing with 64 stars, and you can see the cluster seed right up here. It's 110, 61, 31, 8, and that is for anybody who wants to play along or follow along. You can pick it up on Steam for $20. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. On the way in here, we are playing with unlimited resources, and that just basically means the nodes are massive. It's
Welcome to the actual universe. You may find it's different from our homeland. Should you be able to adapt to the laws of physics in a short time, I am your advisor and will help you through this mission. Everything here is yours. As one of Cosmo and the pioneer of the Dyson Sphere program, you will explore this cluster step by step. By using the resources here to construct the Dyson Sphere to provide energy for the center brain to maintain homeland, starting from scratch. I have chosen a designated planet for you to start the mission, which has necessary resources for initial development. Now please drive the space capsule to the planet. Now you are about to reach the designated planet. This is Icarus, a lightweight industrial mecha with powerful functionality. You can use the arrow keys or right-click on the destination to control its movement. In this mission, you will manipulate Icarus to travel beyond the stars and create miracles. You can use the same operation to collect resources, such as trees, gravel, etc. In the meantime, hold down Shift and right-click to give a series of commands. You receive several items after recycling the space capsule. Click the inventory button in the lower right corner of the screen to open the cabin to view them.
So we'll go ahead and let that.
You can hold down mouse middle button drag to rotate the angle of view, or slide the mouse wheel to zoom in and out.
Meet our own personal transformer, guys. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. First thing here is we need to produce 10 of these, which is going to require some more copper. Well, actually, we can already produce the 10 we need, and I'm going to start the research for magnets, which allow us to produce will allow us to produce solar or wind energy and gathering stations, so that we don't have to do all this mining by ourselves here. It looks like the closest iron... that's stone. Let me go into this big view here.
In the planet view mode, you can hold down the middle mouse button drag, rotate the angle of view, and hold down the right mouse button. Drag to roll the angle of view. Press N key to point to the front to the North Pole. You have created a mining machine to achieve ore collecting automation. Pick it up from the inventory, or select it on Gathering of Construction menu to build it. You can use the R key to rotate the mining machine for covering more veins. The more veins covered, the faster the ores will be gathered. If you want to ignore grid snapping, try holding down the Shift key. Wind turbine. You have established your first power grid. Not all power facilities has its power supply area. Use the Tesla Tower to extend the area of the power grid.
Okay, I'm gonna queue up this next 3 researches, and I'll tell you what they do momentarily. But for now, let's go ahead and start the process. We're gonna need 20 of those, and we're gonna need 20 of those, and we're gonna need, I guess, would be more copper. So first of all, we're getting the electromagnetic matrix, which allows us to do more advanced researches. The next thing we're working on is the basic logistics system, which allows us access to conveyors, sorters, and a storage container. And the third thing we're grabbing is basic assembling process, which allows us to do assembling. The next thing we will also be grabbing is automated metallurgy, which allows us to refine metals without having to do it basically manually. So that is kind of nice to have. Next thing I'm going to grab here, if I can press the right button, F will pull up this building queue automatically. We're going to build one of these and 1 solar array. And we have roughly 1 minute of sitting here doing nothing to account for that. So we're just going to grab some stone. And we're going to go over here. So that gave us actually quite a bit of stuff. We have a fuel limit, for those of you that are curious, and that fuel comes from anything that is combustible on our mecha. So we have our little battery rating here. So we have 72 megajoules currently, and we're consuming energy. And we can use C to open the mecha panel, which allows us to place fuel inside the mecha's fuel chamber. The mecha is, of course, Icarus. So in our fuel chamber currently, we're burning wood and plant fuel, which, as you can see, only has 181 megajoules, so not very much power. We've unlocked Matrix Lab, which we can't really build yet, so we'll hold off on that. We can also use this hydrogen fuel rod, but I'm not going to right now because we don't really need to. Because we are so close to this coal vein, we can simply toss coal in there and utilize it as our fuel source. And that should power us up for a little while at least. And also by pressing C, how much fuel you have stored in your chamber and your total core capacity, which is 100 megajoules currently. So we've got our access to our buildings here. We've got our second gathering building up. I'm going to rotate it around so that we can get probably the best concentration of materials. And we'll place it there. And then we're going to grab our power, which is one of these. And we're going to grab and place it right next to it for now, which will allow us to produce some copper. Okay. Next up here is you can build the Matrix Lab, which is our research center, and right now it really doesn't have much of a use because it's not going to do anything for us at the moment. Now, the next thing we need is 10 of these, which is going to require some copper. So we can grab some copper by grabbing 50 copper out of that. That allows us to produce 10 of those. We also need 10 of these. Oh, we only produced 1, so I'm going to grab... You can change the amount that you produce by pressing the plus or minus with a max of 10 and a minimum of 1. We're going to go and grab our copper from over here. And we're working on our next research, which is basic logistics system, which allows us access to the storage container and access to the conveyor belts, which I already talked about. That'll allow us to get some more advanced automation up and running, which is important because more advanced automation means that I can pool resources from this node here to other places. And the next thing we're going to check for is I'm going to pull this tower out, and we're gonna walk along this dark line here, which is our spawn line essentially. I don't want to walk in the water, so we can't really go that way. What we can do is we can kind of follow it in this mode. If maybe I pull 1 and F1 and then maybe press M, that pull the mode up? No.
In the planet view mode, slide the mouse wheel to enter the star map mode. You have received the sorter and the conveyor belt, which can achieve full automation now. Use the conveyor belt to transport the piled up ores from the mining machine, and the sorter can deliver the ores from the conveyor belt to the smelter for automatic smelting.
Let me produce 10 more of these. Now, something that, and what we're trying to look at here, and I forgot that these are marked, is we want to look for the blue and the red. This is your north and south pole. If you hit N, it'll auto-rotate you to the planets. I want to say it's supposed to center you to basically the north-south line, or rotate you to be in line with that. Now, what that means for us is that if we look right here with our power tool, we'll notice somewhere, if we can walk far enough here, so let me just go back into my mecha mode. Oh, if it'll work. Is it not wanting to? This is not showing, but essentially you can find the equator of the planet, which is important later on because essentially the further away you build from, and this is the equator, and the reason I know that is because of the planetary poles, the further away you build from the equator, the more curved the planet becomes in relativity. And so the way the curving work is based on the poles, and so this side curves this way and this side curves this way, or it makes like a circle or a half sphere. The reason that's so important is because it makes routing conveyors a little bit harder and a little bit more annoying. So it's something to consider when attempting to do stuff. Let me grab some more copper, and I'm going to go over here and grab some more iron. And we're going to do our next research, which requires more computers. And I'll just produce 10 of them again. Then after that, we'll produce... we'll produce more. We'll produce like 30 of those plates, and we'll produce like 30 of the... plates. Ingots. So that we have them on hand so that we can stop waiting so long on research to happen. So, over here we got, again, our coal, which will power our mecha, and as you can see, our our wood takes quite a bit of time to burn. And I'm going to just mine some more coal here to allow for some more fuel production, and we're going to go ahead and stop that for a second, toss that in our fuel chamber, and look at what we just unlocked, which is automatic mulgery, which allows us to use the smelters to essentially automate a process sooner.
Built a smelter, which can smelt basic materials, such as iron ingots and copper ingots automatically. While you want to make the raw materials and products get in and out of it autonomously, you need to use sorters and conveyor belts.
So we're going to quickly here build a second wind turbine for that. And for the purposes of trying to get some power in here, We're going to go like that. This is going to allow us...
You have done building the first power transmission facility, Tesla Tower. It can carry out short-distance wireless power transmission and expand the power supply area of the power grid. Click on it to view the current power grid information.
So this shows us how much power we're using, satisfaction rating. So the orange here's the consumption, the blue's the generation, purple and blue are discharge charge, which rely on batteries, which will come a little bit later. And I just want to connect the networks up, so basically we're going to do that, which allows quite a bit of power generation and a split. We're also going to grab all of these facilities here, and we're going to grab our production, and because I don't want to wait around for iron, we're going to do this, and we're going to pull directly from there.
When putting a conveyor belt, all you need to do is determine the starting point and the end point of it. In addition, use the up arrow key to lift up one level, and use the down arrow key to drop down one level after the conveyor belt is lifted. Press keypad 0 to reset the construction height of the conveyor belt to the ground. If you don't want the conveyor belt to be attached to the building, you can try holding down the shift key. The sorter is a transportation connector of cargoes between facilities. It will automatically transport them as long as the supply facility and the receiving facility are bridged. After selecting the recipe, you can use the less than key to copy the recipe and the greater than key to paste the next building that needs to set the same recipe.
So it's giving you all these nice tooltips, which is beautiful. We're going to place our smeltery there, and we're going to pull directly out of here using our conveyor belts, and then we're going to go over and we're going to grab this right here, which allows us to connect into there, and we're going to use the recipe for iron ingots to start producing us some iron ingots. We'll still need some iron to produce magnets, which reminds me, while we're sitting here, let's produce some magnets. Okay. So next research here all require these nice little blue cubes, other than universe exploration. Nope, that requires them. The mecha core, which is something I want to look at and grab right away. That's going to allow for better power. And we'll need some more of these for our mecha. We can also grab mechanical frames later. We can grab, basically, you can look through everything here and see what all you can build right away. Now, a drive engine, which is unlocked mecha flight, could be nice to have. And as you can see, we get access to stuff. But the big thing right now is getting a basic assembly system set up, which requires these assembling buildings, which we're going to build here. And we can utilize this to produce more advanced or complex components, including magnetic coils and circuit boards, which are going to be important, as these take iron and copper. Now, so sorry, here we unlocked our next tier mecha, which allows us to get more power, and I want to start production. So we're going to produce 2 more gathering facilities. In fact, we're going to actually produce 3 more gathering facilities. We're going to produce another assembler. We're going to go over here, steal 100 copper plates, 100 iron. We're going to organize their inventory, and we're going to go over here, steal 100 plates, and we're going to steal another 50 iron, and we're going to sort that. And then we're going to use our F key to produce 2 storage facilities, which we will want. We're going to need more conveyors produced, so I'm going to set that to 10. I'm going to produce 30 conveyors, which requires us to produce 10 gears. And I produced 1 assembler. In addition to the one we have, I want to produce no more assemblers, but I do need to produce at least 4 smelters. And I need to produce more power facilities. So we have 100 seconds for queue time. and we can sort our inventory. So another key note that you might want to know: resources get pulled instantly from your like resource point. So essentially, if you notice that I don't have most resources that are queued for crafting, and that is because they automatically get pulled. So let's place this facility down here. And we've got some nodes here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come out, and we're going to come over, and we're going to come over to here. And we're actually going to need more conveyor belts produced. Which means more of different components. So we're going to need a lot more conveyor belts produced. That should probably, hopefully, be enough. And we're going to need, I actually did lie earlier. I said we only needed so many facilities. We're going to need at least 2 more smelteries, which means we need more copper. So we have a total of 6 smelteries, which is how many we'll need. So we should be good, and we are going to produce another few conveyors here. In addition to that, we will need at least 10 of those, but I'm going to just produce 20 to be on the safe side. And we've produced a few turbines, which is nice. So that'll be our power. If you notice, there are these things called Tesla towers, which transmit power. We're going to actually steal the Tesla tower from here, line up our power connection there. And we're going to alter that direction so that we can produce and basically make the power for that. Coming out of there, we're going to come over to here. So the first thing is I want 2 of these hooked up. Which do we have? We have 2 storage facilities produced. Put our storage facility there. We'll put the other storage facility there. So this is going to go into this.
You built a storage, which can be used to store cargo. You can manually store or use the sorter to automatically stock the cargo.
So I talked about this earlier. You can run out of fuel. Luckily, we have some hydrogen cores here. Okay, now we produce power free of charge. So I will need to go like this, and like that, and like that. So the next step here is these, which are going to come in. And to make this simple, we're going to run the conveyor like that. Then we're going to go like that. Then we're going to go essentially like that. Then we're going to need one more storage building produced at the end of all of this. Along with, we've already got 20 of those queued. Let's queue another 10 of those. And we're going to need at least 2 more power buildings and at least 2 towers for Tesla. Now, so once we've got all this kind of up and running here, you're kind of at your basics. Now, this video will run about 45 minutes. We got another 20 minutes to go here before we call it a night for the night. So let's go ahead and get this up and running here before we do anything. So we're gonna go transfer there, we're gonna do a transfer there, and we're gonna do a transfer into there, then we're gonna do a transfer into there, and a transfer to there, and a transfer into there. Now producing out of here will be iron ingots, and producing out of here will be magnets. Now to produce these just takes that, and to produce magnets. Okay, so then these two will come out into a storage, and essentially, we're going to grab our storage building here. Boop. Oh, we're going to need another 2 storage buildings. But just one really needs to be done. So, boop. We're going to do that there. Then, we're going to grab our logistics pipes. We're going to run those into there. And we're going to grab, boop. Now, because of how slowly this transfers, you're going to want to make sure that you're giving enough resources here to everybody. Grab your Tesla tower and throw it down for power. And you can throw your other tower down over here for power. And you're going to need to grab that and come out of there and come out of here. And go into there. Now, you're going to be producing more copper ingots. Here, you're going to be producing computers, and over here, you're going to be producing magnet rings. Now, both of these take copper. In this case, this one needs copper. Sorry, this one over here needs the magnets. Then, coming out from over here, you're going to go like this, and I think I will just invert that and go like that. And then we will just up arrow to curve around here and then come back down, and then we'll come out from over here and we'll go over here, and we will throw our first matrix lab down right there.
Matrix Lab. You can use it to make super matrices, or research technologies that require them to unlock. The super matrices are the source code of the center brain for maintaining the homeworld. You can upload as many super matrices to the center brain as possible. You can be benefit to unlock more actual world technologies by operating the homeworld simultaneously.
Now, essentially, we're gonna have this be producing our electromagnetic matrices, which are taking circuit boards and magnetic coils, which these will be producing. Thank you to and we'll connect our 2 power grids together, and boom. Now that's that's lacking magnetic rings because I hadn't quite hooked that up yet. And we just start feeding. Oh. Well, it'd help if I'm not an idiot about how I do things. Which, you know what? I mean, it's just as simple as taking this and flipping this to the circuit boards. And why didn't I do this before pulling everything out? Nobody will ever know. I just wanted to waste all that extra power, basically. Now, the next thing I do want to produce 3 more of those, which will take us about a minute to do. So as you can see, we'll create buffers of pretty much magnets, the metal ingots and everything, which is nice. And obviously, we've got lots of coal coming in here. One thing I do want to create, which we did already create, is a storage, and I want to connect this via that, and then connect to that. That's just going to allow us to basically store coal into there, and we're going to make that just a little tad bit quicker. That gives me a little bit of power, and it gives me the courtesy that I can create and generate power on my own. This will produce energy matrices, which is good to do. And we're gonna want to set that up real quick, and I'm gonna produce one more storage facility, which we're lacking stone for. So let's go over there and mine stone and create this. So that'll be set to produce our research, which should actually compensate. I think we can actually fit another one of these on top, and I will. And just cycle that. Now we can do a bunch more technology research, including our secondary, more advanced logistics system. We can do thermal power, which would be nice. We can do symbiotic superconductor material, and smelting purification, which is nice. And something we're running into an issue with here is power, so we're gonna produce some more wind turbines. And the reason you can tell, or one of the easiest ways you can tell you're running low on power, is you can click and check. So we have currently roughly 80% satisfaction, which means we're satisfying 80% of our energy consumption. You'll also notice that the blue colored lines, which are your, for all intents and purposes, your power basically, will turn to a different color. Two and 3, 4. yeah, this wind power is not the most efficient way to go. So obviously, I think obviously you could tell I'm not doing my best at setting it up either. I'm not doing it necessarily the most efficient way possible. Will a drone go all that way? Yes, it will. Which is still fine, because essentially the goal here is to get the power production up and running with enough power to survive and keep this going for the moment. Which this should be capable of doing. And we can grab 3 more stacks of coal to power this beautiful behemoth of a ship, or Icarus. And we're actually going to end up putting 2 more matrix slabs down. So I don't know what that's going to do to our power consumption. It's going to up it. And if I place another one of these down, is it going to kill me? Yeah, basically we're pushing our current power grid pretty hard. And you can check, you know, we're getting thermal power up, which is nice. We're getting smelting purification. I'm going to grab steel smelting. That requires the next tier of cubes. And I want environment modifications. Chemical smashing requires the next thing. Solar collection is a good way to go really quickly here. Superconductor, we can grab processor. Oh, we can grab processors, and that's as far as we can go there. Deuterium fractioning we can't do yet, but we can grab fluid storage. High efficiency, we can grab the electromagnetic drive next. And you kind of get the idea. As you can see, we're processing cubes, and we're making plenty of them. And this is as tall as you can go. So essentially this is 20 per minute. To make the cube, it takes 3 seconds, so we do produce 20 per minute. But because it takes 3 seconds, that means it only is consuming 20 magnets and 20 computers a minute. We produce 45 magnets a minute and 45 computers a minute. So we should be consuming more than we're actually producing. And these obviously just do 60 hashes a second, which is nice. So they're an automatic research basically. So we can grab our 14 cubes in here and adds to the research. These will do it automatically. That allows us to basically mass produce energy, or mass produce these cubes that we use for research, and do the research much quicker, because we are essentially doing it at 3 times the rate at which our mech would do it. Which is actually nice. And as you can see, we just completed another technology. So we can go down here and we can grab the electromagnetic drive into the queue. And we still have like this, which requires the red stuff. That doesn't require red. So basically, we can get all the way down here into... we can get the applied superconductor. We can get hydrogen, or the energy matrix, which is the red cubes, which are more of a pain to produce. And you can kind of push that way down. And so I did notice that over here we've got a crude oil vein, and we can use M to check around and see that we've got access to another copper iron close by node there. We've got another crude oil node there. And we've got 2 crude oil node veins up here. So we'll probably work on getting like oil production and oil refining up next episode. And we'll probably produce a few of our resources into that. And continuing to just do massive amounts of research very quickly is something something that is important. So let's grab that. Organize my inventory again. We can actually start producing these if we could produce the electromagnetic drives, which we don't have access to yet. So we really we can't. But starting for basically to completion, I want to get like 4 more of those up, and I want to do 6 more of those for now. And I want to grab, I want to grab some steel plates from here and produce a whole bunch more conveyors. And I want to produce two storage facilities, which will both be for our independent iron ingot production and our independent copper production up at the top, which will allow for us to create more resources. Or rather, not more resources, but allow us to basically self-queue what we need to continue to increase our facility size, and do some more spaghetti, slap together spaghetti to make the whole system work. So yeah. Okay, so we got that running. I think we've kind of got everything running. It's just kind of a waiting game for our production queue to finish in our inventory, which is another 4 minutes, and waiting for our research to finish, which is again another 4 minutes or more, probably more. We can go in. We've completed the technology, so we can queue up plasma extracting, which allows us to produce hydrogen by using crude oil and making it into refining, and then refining it into refined oil and a hydrogen atom. Basic chemical engineering will be basically the next thing we queue, which allows us to create sulfuric acid, plastic, and a chemical plant. And we'll go for the energy matrix probably after we get the applied superconductor, which allows us to turn sulfuric acid and graphite into, what is it called? Energetic graphite into graphene, which will be nice. So basically, the idea for, like I said, the idea for like next episode is to get more blue cube production online. Which will be pretty easy because we've got the iron to do it, and it'll be to hopefully move into getting some oil refining up and running. Probably between episodes 2 and 3, and maybe even, and I might let this run to produce a bunch of cubes and just finish research and not do anything. But probably between episodes 2 and 3, I will work on setting up or basically prettifying the current situation of stuff that's going on, which won't actually be completely done. It'll be something that'll be continuously worked on, but I do want to make sure that it looks pretty good. And one of the first and major things that I want to do, that I've seen a lot about, is I want to get foundation production online, and I will off screen I will run and make sure that I'm right. This is the equator, and I want to essentially take and probably go out 3 on each side of the equator line and do a massive solar wind array, which will produce all of our power early game, and it'll take forever to build the solar panels and the wind turbines to do that, but the major advantage to it will be a huge amount of power. And I mean, it'll look pretty sexy to have an equator that is just a power production line, and it will be really efficient, despite, because basically half of your solar panels will constantly have access to the sun. And I'll look into creating batteries. Batteries are a little bit more of an end game thing, so batteries won't really come until later. And batteries aren't necessarily the worst idea, but they're at the best. Just double check. Yeah, we're barely skirting by on our current power load. Is spiking up to like 95-98% and then dropping back down. And because we have unlimited copper, essentially we don't ever have to really expand beyond having this one copper node. But the idea will be to basically convert an entire solar system of planets into production. And despite the fact that I don't need more nodes, I will set up more nodes, because I could theoretically take gathering stations, which I need to produce a few more of. These gathering stations will gather from the same node, and they gather more based on how many veins our coverage. For example, this one covers 7, this one covers 6. This will produce 180 a minute, whereas this will produce 210, which is 30 more because it has that one extra vein. And so, yeah, theoretically, I could sit here and these would last probably until the entire playthrough's done, and I could have just the world's smallest factory and take thousands of episodes to do all the research because it takes time. But I won't do that despite having unlimited resources on, because that's not something I want to do. That doesn't seem fun to me. I want to get a huge mech project going and just start and get working on a Dyson sphere. So essentially, I will expand to probably within the next, not necessarily next episode, but at some point, I'm going to come over here and grab these 2 coal nodes and make a massive coal power plant over there. And then I'm going to come up here to this iron and copper node, or copper and iron node, and probably do another production facility for blue cores. And then I'll probably do is make a red core production facility up here using coal brought clear over, or get a transport facility of some type up and start transporting basically graphite and stuff over here to make red cores and stuff in the next episode, which will be nice. But yeah, I mean, it'll be nice. So we can now flatten the earth. We actually have access to, basically, this is the one thing I wanted to finish before we go into the next mode here, or before we call it a night or a day, is I wanted access to produce foundations, which basically take steel and stone stuff. So next episode, one of the major things I will set up as well, which I will leave running off screen, will be stone production, which will be this node up here. And I'll essentially surround that and produce a shite load of stone. And do I have a copper node up here? I'll probably bring the stone over to about here, and I'll bring this copper over to about here, and I'll make a massive facility to just produce foundations. Because we'll need foundations to prettify the base, make it basically an actual, like, base instead of just what it is right now, which is basically we're on a planet and we flatten the ground out around our facilities, but we don't really have a mark. Foundations will allow us to basically do an area of covered foundations.
A terrain leveling tool, yet we cannot use it to change the planetary landforms at will. We can only level the surface to ground zero. If the foundation is used for high grounds, it will gain soil pile. On the contrary, if it is used on the ocean or low-lying areas, it must consume soil pile. When installing the foundation, either choose a kind of decoration or without decoration, even only surface leveling.
So you can change your decoration between, basically it looks like a stone platform or no
You can click
foundation.
the replicator button at the bottom right of the screen to open the panel and manually replicate these items.
So yeah, we'll work on probably doing a little bit of that next episode and probably getting a ton of that production up. But I'm gonna let you guys go because we ran over the mark. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe down below. Check out my Patreon and help support the channel so that I can hopefully make better videos, or definitely make better videos. Because there are components of my computer that don't work the best for recording, playing. But again, have a great one and have a good day.